Good morning. Good morning to everyone. It's wonderful. I can't actually see your faces because of my screen, but I can see some of your names, and it's a pleasure to see all of you here today. Most of you know, but for those of you that do not, my name is Lily Cox. I'm the Vice President of Communications here at the St. Croix Foundation. And on behalf of our board and staff, we really want to say thank you for being here. Um, our amazing, incredible Kids Count USVI team is here with me today, and we all collectively just really welcome you today. Um, this is the release of our 2024 Kids Count USVI data package. That will include a spotlight entitled Answering the Call, We Are the System and the Solution, as well as the Virgin Islands' first online Kids Count USVI data dashboard. We have a very full agenda today because we are introducing two products, not just one. So I'm going to move through this agenda really quickly. I'm going to start with some introductions to the Kids Count team and just have them raise their hands and make sure that their video and their mic works. Um, we're going to have a quick welcome and about Kids Count, both nationally and locally. I'll talk a little bit about the data domains themselves. And then we're going to dive into the data spotlight itself. We're going to talk about some key indicators and hone in on opportunity youth. And after that is the big demonstration for our Kids Count USVI data dashboard, which we're also excited about showing you. And then we're going to wrap up with just sort of how we're activating the data throughout 2024, and then open up the floor for questions and answers. We anticipate that this whole call will take around an hour and 20 minutes. We may be able to give you some time back, but feel free to take notes as we move along. So our core Kids Count team, I can't say enough about this group. And sometimes I get a little choked up just thinking about how hard they all work and the care and the love that they put into it. Dr. Saul Santiago, good morning, is our data analyst and principal investigator. Dr.
Good
Santiago,
morning, everyone.
all right. We also have Miss Lori Blake, who did some very heavy lifting this year with our data dashboard. She's our data researcher and designer. You want to give yourself a mic check and say good morning?
Good morning.
Hi, Lori. Ms. Charmaine Hobson is our vital, dynamic sector liaison that is really making bridges and connections between our public government data partners and our nonprofit civic partners for data collection. Good morning, Charmaine.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you.
We also have our president, Miss Deanna James. I think all of you know her. Deanna, your mic works?
Good morning.
Good morning. Dr. Anna Wheatley Scarbriel, Calm Under Pressure, Special Projects and Production Lead, helps us make sure we get this publication out the door. Good morning, Anna.
Good morning, everyone.
Hi. I like your background. Miss Jacqueline Lawrence, one of our newest members of the team. She is our junior program officer here at the foundation and has an eye for the details and a knack for asking the hard questions. Good morning, Jacqueline.
Good morning, everyone.
Glad you could be with us, Jacqueline. And Dr. Lucy Jackson, I don't know that she's here. She often works quietly on the sidelines, but she is almost continually working with our team to do policy analysis and has been critical as we move along. So I wanted to be sure and mention her as well. And so without further ado, let's dive right in. Deanna, you want to go ahead and introduce Kids Count overall?
Sure. Good morning. Thank you so much, Lily. It's amazing that we get here every year. The end of the year is a really busy time for the foundation. So I just want to say thank you to everyone. I know this is, festive season and it takes a lot out of our team and all of our participants to make time to be here for this virtual convening on behalf of our board and staff at the foundation, and obviously our incredibly talented Kids Count team. We're really grateful to have you here. We think this is a really important conversation for our community. I begin every single year with the same message, which is that we could not do this without our Kids Count team. What they do every year is simply impressive. Um, we are we are working basically until the very last minute to get our publication out to you, and are grateful that we have such a dedicated group of people here to guide this work and to provide this incredibly important data to this community. I would also be remiss to not acknowledge the Foundation's operational and programmatic team, who are not active members of our Kids Count team, but also play a really critical role in getting us to this point and allow Lily, Jacqueline, and I the space and resources to do this work. I have to also extend a very special acknowledgement to the family of our late board chair, our ferocious champion, Gladys Krieger Washington, who recently passed away. She will forever be a part of the Foundation's legacy and this work. She was an incredible support system for all of us at the Foundation, and she will be missed. Just to offer a little bit of background about Kids Count, for over 2 decades, Kids Count has been an invaluable resource for the territory, providing a temperature check on how our children and families in the Virgin Islands are faring. It is an essential part of local policy development as well as St. Croix Foundation's program development. Launched by the Annie E. Casey Foundation in 1990, over the course of 30 plus years, Kids Count has become one of the most comprehensive data repositories for many, if not most, state and city governments across the nation. Throughout almost every Kids Count data book, there are 4 standard Kids Count domains, which are economic well-being, family and community, education, and health. Our Kids Count team has added 2 more domains that have been incorporated into each annual data publication, which include community bright spots and opportunity youth. Now about this year's data book. As we have done with every single publication, we choose cover images that we hope are provocative to readers as we continue to use the data book as a sentinel for our youth population. Our hope is that readers and community stakeholders will keep the image of that young child on the cover this year's data book in mind throughout the year as you synthesize the data that we present. This year's cover image, entitled "In the Moment," once again by local photographer David Berg, was intentionally chosen to help us frame another chapter in the story of our children's lives. In the photo, David captures a young Mokajumbi with their hand over their heart, part of the rich culture of the West and Central African peoples. Mokajumbis are considered foretellers of the future and believed to be guardians who watch over the village. Their extreme height enables them to foresee danger up ahead. With the cover of this year's Data Spotlight, our Kids Count team seeks to inspire greater community awareness around what the social and economic conditions of our children foretell us about their future. As their protectors and providers, our vision is that all community stakeholders collectively find and fulfill our role and responsibility to build level pathways for our children's journey to adulthood so that every step is safe and steady. Last year, we sounded the alarm on child well-being and issued a call to action over alarming trends on our children and families. This year, we are publishing an abridged 2024 Kids Count USVI Data Spotlight entitled "Answering the Call: We Are the System and the Solution," which shines a light on the territory's opportunity youth. We are also unveiling a new data product in the form of the territory's first Kids Count USVI data dashboard. You'll hear a lot more about that in a minute. Ultimately, we intend to paint a more accurate, holistic picture of our children's lives to help identify, 1, the conditions and circumstances that place them on the path to either disconnection or success; 2, the pervasive systemic failures that sustain disconnection; and 3, the targeted opportunities before us to reach and reconnect them. As our team continues to grow increasingly concerned about the loss of young lives due to gun violence in the territory, we are also zeroing in on an older youth population, which are contending with a significant number of critical life and death hotspots. But there are also bright spots, which we have highlighted in this year's data book. And you'll hear a little bit about that in our presentation this morning. This year's abridged data book also through this presentation today, we unveil our data dashboard, which will provide community stakeholders with real-time access to an interactive data tool comprising of current Kids Count USVI data. As St. Croix Foundation and our Kids Count team continues to advocate for more sophisticated data systems, equitable policies, and resources to support our Kids Count initiative and our young people, we wish to thank all of our government and nonprofit data partners who make each publication possible. We hope, as in previous years, that this year's data package continues to answer the call to action to build progressive, coherent systems and data-driven solutions for our children and their families. We have taken great care in the design of each data product with the sincere hope that community stakeholders will use the data. We continue to be intentional in how we present in order to offer the greatest degree of utility for stakeholders who use Kids Count for grant writing, and for crafting funding proposals. Our hope is that there is sufficient contextual framing throughout the report that can be directly cut from the data book and pasted into funding proposals. This work takes a lot of time for the foundation and for our Kids Count team. And trust me when I say that it is not fully funded, full stop. So from a cost-benefit perspective, it's an incredibly heavy lift for all of us. Yet we haven't let the lack of financial resources diminish our standard of performance or dull our conviction. The foundation and our Kids Count team has been tireless in our oversight, and we have been Kids Count exemplars, if I do say so myself, demonstrating every year Virgin Islands excellence. In closing, I want to say something I say every single year, and that is that some of the more striking data that is presented in the data book are in no way an indictment of any agency or any one stakeholder. In fact, the foundation fundamentally believes that every area of concern highlighted in this report belongs to all of us in this community, in the same way that the solutions belong to all of us and will demand the energy and commitment of each of us to realize. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. And as we get started, I'm going to hand the mic over to our team's principal investigator, Dr. Saul Santiago, who will cover our a broad overview of the data as we move through this presentation. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Deanna, and good morning, everyone. The link to the Kids Count Data Spotlight is on your screen, and we are going to be placing the link in the chat as well. I'm going to give everyone a minute to click, and you can open it up because we are excited for you to explore our Kids Count USVI 2024 Data Spotlight under the title Answering the Call. We are the system and the solution. So we are presenting select figures, tables, and charts based on data collected from dozens of agencies and organizations from both the public and private sector. But this year's release is different in a few key ways. So first, I'd like to set the table by talking about our approach to this data spotlight book and laying out a guide to the types of information you will find in the book this year. As Deanna laid out, we took seriously the call to action spelled out in last year's data book, and we focus on activating the data via our Kids Count Summit and convenings with key stakeholders and lawmakers. And we're not done. So this year, we're proud to present not one, but two USVI Kids Count products. The USVI Data Spotlight book that we're making available for the first time to the public this morning. That's the link. And in the spirit of activating the data, we will be presenting an interactive element to our USVI Kids Count portfolio shortly. But let's start with the Data Spotlight book. So we are presenting data for each of the Annie Casey Kids Count domains. And our Kids Count USVI Data Spotlight presents a condensed version of up-to-date charts for select data points that are among the most requested by our stakeholders. Within the main domains, let me highlight just a few data points and charts to get you started. Families play a critical role in stability for children, and data around families in public housing has always been a focus for our team. So on page 9, we find the chart on your left, the number of children living in public housing. According to the Virgin Islands Housing Authority, there were 3,166 children Living in public housing, 685 were between 0 and 5 years old. About 1,497 were between 6 and 13 years old, and 984 were children between 14 and 18 years old. In the domain of economic well-being, you see the unemployment rate reported by the Virgin Islands Department of Labor. In 2023, the overall USVI unemployment rate fell to under 10% for the fourth time in 5 years, settling at 4% for the St. Croix district and 3% for the St. Thomas St. John district. Next, I want to call your attention to the chart on public school enrollment. According to the most recent data from the Virgin Islands Department of Education, student enrollment in USVI public schools increased up to 10,312 students during the 2023-24 school year, with just over 5,000 students in each district. This was the first enrollment increase since the 2020-2021 school year. Finally, let's take a look at the number of live births provided by the Virgin Islands Department of Health. According to the Department of Health, there were 867 live births in the USVI in 2023. 361 babies were born in St. Croix in 2023, 189 boys and 172 girls. 506 babies were born in the St. Thomas St. John district in 2023, 262 boys and 244 girls. Now, this is just some of the data we have collected this year. For more of this year's data update, we encourage all of you to explore the Kids Count USVI data dashboard that we will be presenting soon. And as always, the full comprehensive data sets are available as part of the National Kids Count Data Center, which we update every year with USVI data so that our data could be part of the national conversation around child well-being. But there is one area that we decided to explore in detail this year, the one part of our publication that is not at a glance. The spotlight and focus of this year's data book is on a population that is often overlooked, and we hope to change that. So I'm going to hand it off to my colleague, Charmaine Hobson, who is going to discuss the heart of our data spotlight this year, the opportunity youth of the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Thank you, Saul. Good morning, everyone. Like Saul said, this is the area that we are targeting this year. So who are the opportunity youth? Well, the age range is from 16 to 24 years old. And these are the individuals who are not in school or they are not employed. What we realize is that our at-risk population eventually becomes opportunity youth if we don't provide the effective programs that's necessary to channel them in the right direction. This isn't the first rodeo for the St. Croix Foundation. They have been working with the Opportunity Youth for decades, as far back as 20 years ago with the Model School Initiative. They started working at a middle school where they were working with the administration staff and families to kind of gear the children in the right direction so that they do not become opportunity youth. And when that project ended, they continued to provide a lot of push a lot of resources into programs in the community that were meeting the needs of the opportunity youth, as well as having a phenomenal nonprofit consortium where they meet regularly and discuss the plight of the opportunity youth in the community, among other things. Why spotlight on the opportunity youth? Well, we're seeing what's happening in our community. And the crime, the violence, the homicides, we're losing a lot of our young lives. In fact, I received some data, startling data, that the incarcerated individuals, the average age in the territory is 23. They're 23-year-olds. A lot of our young people are incarcerated. But we have programs in our community that we continue to speak about that are really doing well. We have the Department of Labor who consistently try to bring the opportunity youth into our employment system. They have a summer, the SIWEP program, the Summer Youth Work Experience Program, where they had 655 individuals in 2023. And our shoot of that program is the Labor Investing for Tomorrow, and that's for juniors and seniors in college. They had over 70 participants this year, and in 2023, Then they also have the Workforce for Innovation Opportunity Act program. They had over 149 participants this year. And new to them this year was the JAG program, which is Jobs for America's Graduate. And they had 89 participants, which is 69 more in St. Thomas and 20 in St. Croix. So we're hoping that with the 2024 data, it balances out a little more between the districts. But we also have the Virgin Islands Department of Sports, Park and Recreation, who continue to do phenomenal work with the opportunity youth, with their athletic programs, building team building, camaraderie and relationships within the island and outside of the island, territory and nationally. And we also have Department of Education who do their after school programs and have their sports program and have our children travel from island to island. So these are programs that are building our opportunity youth. And Department of Human Services with their intervention programs. But we can't forget also our nonprofit organizations such as Caribbean Center for the Boys and Girls Club, the Women's Coalition, and there's a slide with the age range and the population that they serve over the last 2 or 3 years, from 2020 to 2023, 4 years. So, and also we have My Brother's Workshop, the Family Resource Center, and a slew of other nonprofit organizations who continue to contribute to our opportunity youth. So spotlight on education. I before I even get any further, I really want to thank the Department of Education for always being one of the most transparent agencies in terms of giving us data, and they give us their data quick, and we can always call them for clarification. But what they show to us is that education is beyond the four walls. They are not afraid or ashamed to share the data, because the aim is to get the community involved in what's happening to the plight of our children or at-risk youth who may become opportunity youth if we don't do what we need to do to assist. So the 3 areas: retention, dropout, and disciplinary. These are areas that we know if we don't address them, it would lead to creating more opportunity youth in our community. With the 2023-2024 school year, the retention was 443 students in 7th to 12th grade. The dropout, 140 students in grade 7 to 12 dropped out of the school system. And this was pretty interesting. This is the disciplinary incidents. There were over 763 students who received out of school suspension. And from that number, there was actually 1,255 students who were had disciplinary incidents. But these 763 were suspended, resulting in 4,463 days of missed school days. It averaged about 6 days per child. But this number did decrease from the year before, where there was over 1,000 students who were received out of school suspension. So it's to me, it's an indication that they're probably doing more to work with the in-school suspension and other disciplinary actions that do not let the children leave the school but still receive some form of instruction. So we also have in the data book, you will notice that we have crime incidents from the VIPD, and it went up slightly. In 2022, it was 250. This year, there were 258 crime incidents in 2023, there were 258 crime incidents in the territory. With regards to intervention and prevention programs, we were able to get data on YRC, and I want everybody to read the books. I'm just nitpicking because I really want you all to get a full flavor of the dashboard. So please go through the data books so you could really get a good understanding of where we're going with the opportunity youth and the information that we gathered thus far for 2024. But with intervention and prevention programs, 114 youth, that's incorrect, 114 youth received intervention services during the the Department of Human Services reporting period of October 23rd to June 2024. And in that group, they referred to, they provided some additional data with that 114 population, where 58% were from single parent homes, 46% were totally new to the juvenile justice system, 4% were dropouts, high school dropouts, and 36% were committed a violent offense, and 24% committed property crimes. So, you know, this is really startling and alarming data that we continue to get from DHS year after year. And right next to that is a slide, a graph showing the number of at-risk youth that were in the persons in need of supervision program with DHS for the last 4 years. And so we continue to get great data. And I'd like to thank all the organizations like Deanna and Saul tested. We constantly meet with these wonderful organizations, government agency and nonprofit, and they provide us with data. However, there's a flip side to it. We realize that we do have some gaps in terms of getting our data. In fact, to us, the biggest gap is that we actually don't know the complete number of opportunity youth. We know they exist because we see them. They're under the trees. They're sitting home in their parents' houses, girlfriends' houses. They're on the street corners. They're at the fish markets. They're not going to school. They're not employed. But we do not know the exact number. And that's because of the type of gaps we may be having in our system. And at times we get frustrated because we realize also that our priority is not necessarily the priority of others. But we know that all these agencies have the information that we're asking for. It could be attributed to their system or how they're reporting the data, but the lack of information that we're receiving is in regards to mental health needs, the demographics of youth offenders, where data regarding where they live. And that information is really great because if we can find out where they live, where these crimes are occurring, then we can channel and funnel the money to those areas and target those population and give them the most help and support. And also self-reporting, we need to make sure that our opportunity youth are telling their story by the surveys, the discussions that we have with them, the type of programs where we can sit down and provide counseling and what have you, and then use that data to tell the right story. Guys, we have to understand if the story doesn't have numbers, it has no impact. So we need them to provide us with the information so we can tell the story. And there's a gap with this type of thing. However, there is a bright spot for us because the youth risk behavior survey that we've been having, we've been reporting on from 2017, 2018 with rather old data, but still relevant and very alarming. We found out that the Department of Health conducted the surveys last year, and in 2025, we're hoping that we should receive the analysis of their great work. So that's a bright spot for us. But these gaps are going to continue, and if we don't do what we need to do to work across the system, and I call it systemic neglect. What we are realizing is that we have all these agencies, and please don't take this as me disparaging any agency. It's call it constructive criticism. But what we're finding is that we have all these amazing agencies that are doing these incredible work, and we're not pooling our resources. We're not collaborating across systems. We're not investing in the opportunity use as a wraparound service. So because of this, we have this systemic neglect, and the deployment of resources contribute to these gaps, because if we don't know what we need, then we're not getting the resources necessary to take care of the problem. So the gaps are going to continue if we do not address these factors and mitigating factors. And if you look at the chart that we provided, these are some of the problems that we continue to have in terms of gathering and obtaining data. Before I close, I would like for you to just ask yourself these questions, and we ask this every year with St. Croix Foundation. And please attribute this to the opportunity youth. Where are they? How are they faring? And how can we work across systems to make sure that we provide the best and most effective solutions for our opportunity youth? I'm going to pass the baton now to Jacqueline, who will be introducing the phenomenal dashboard.
Good morning again, everyone. So I have the distinct pleasure and honor of introducing our data dashboard. Here at the foundation, we like to make radical changes and do things in a big and large way. But before we get to the dashboard, I'm just going to provide you with a little bit of an overview so that you can understand what a dashboard is and how you can use it. So, what is a dashboard? It's a tool. You can collect and share different types of data, and it presents everything in a visual format that allows for comparison. It lets you monitor stuff, it lets you measure stuff, and you get to do analysis in real time. So, there are several uses for this dashboard. Of course, there's grant writing, there's research, you can use it as a teaching tool. And of course, as I mentioned before, you can track, do analysis, all that sort of stuff. And I'm just going to put it out there that if you find an alternate use for the dashboard, we'd like to hear about it. So there's several advantages to using a data dashboard, but I'm really going to only highlight three. So the first one, and I think this one is really important, is that it allows for real-time data reporting. So often here in the territory, we get told that we are reactive. And so having real-time data allows us to do number three, which is identify trends and patterns. And once you can identify those trends and patterns, you can plan, because we're often accused of not planning for anything. And so finally, I think the last one that I'd like to highlight is that this is an easy tool and that you can just look at it and be able to interpret the data with a glance. So what's next? So you're going to see a basic demo this morning and you'll be given access to the dashboard. But we want to make this bigger than what you see. So we definitely want more data. Charmaine highlighted that. We want specialized aggregated data, because with this sort of data, what we can do is we can actually put this literally map on each island where certain activities are taking place, and this can lead to better planning. So we're going to need more collaboration, more data. We can get people to just reach out to us if you have data points that you think we should include. And so we need to maintain the database. And now what's next is the demo. So I am going to pass the baton on to our data researcher, Miss Lori Blake, who worked very, very hard, including many nights and weekends.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm pleased to share this dashboard with you today. The KC team and I, as Jacqueline mentioned, we work really hard to bring you a tool that makes accessible and accessing and understanding the kid counts data easier and more actionable than ever. So this is the foundation portal. So we see that we've built one dashboard for each domain to focus on education, health, economic well-being, family and community, opportunity youth, and community bright spot. So this dashboard consolidates all the relevant kid counts data into one user-friendly platform. So no more flipping through books or pulling data from multiple sources. Everything is now centralized and easy to navigate. So you can access each dashboard by simply clicking on the image. So I'm going to click on the education, bring up education. Here's the dashboard. And then I need to go back to the data portal. I click on the button back, and I'm back to a data portal. So the navigation is the same for all 6 dashboards per domain and our snapshot. So let's start with the snapshot, which provide a high-level overview of key indicators for the children in the Virgin Islands. So start here. So this snapshot covers categories like demographic data. We have data for education. We selected key indicators, health, economic well-being, family and community. We do have opportunity youth, and we have a series of indicators for the community bright spot. You can filter by location. So we added data deaggregated by island. This is St. Croix. This is St. Thomas and St. John data combined. This is for the Virgin Islands, the territory as a whole. What we do is we also included an indicator, a year-over-year comparison. It's an arrow showing whether the metric has increased or decreased, helping you to quickly identify trends. And then the tooltip that you can see, where you over the data, you have a tooltip where we included the year, we included the definition, and of course, we included the source of the data source of the data. There's a couple of few things that I want to show you also. We included a download PDF button. When you click on it, you will see a PDF dialog, and you can download the view you selected. So if you're on the territory, you download the view of the territory. If you are on the view of St. Croix data, you will download the view related to St. Croix and St. Thomas and St. John. Let me go over a few built-in control. This control is to undo the last action. You can go back. Basically, it's the back button. This is your forward button. You can reset the view if you get lost in your with the filters. You can always reset, and then you can replay. If you'd like something, an animation, you can replay it. This button here is download. It's choose a format to download, and even if we gave you a PDF, a quick shortcut to access the PDF, there are two other formats that are being allowed. You can download this view as an image, or you can download this view as a PowerPoint presentation. And then we have the share button. And the share button, when you click on it, you will see that you have a link that is being created by the platform, and you can share this link into your email or whomever you want to share it with. And then there's this little button here that I like very much, is the see in full screen. It means that there's no more distraction of anything on your web browser. This is just the dashboard. And if you want to exit from it, you use the escape button on your keyboard. So now let's go back to the data portal. And let's dive into one of the dashboard. We're going to dive into the education dashboard. In this dashboard, we gathered detailed data on enrollment, test scores, graduation rates, retention, and dropout rates. So let's imagine that you are writing a grant and you need data on school enrollment trends in a VI. And specifically, you want to compare public school enrollment to private and parochial school enrollment to identify if the trends for both aligned. So let's go to the dashboard. You're going to land. I'm going to put myself in full view mode. You can see that on the top you have the to escape. You can escape there, or you can use your, as I said, your escape button on your keyboard. So we landed on the page of the school enrollment. We have other indicators. This is a drop down. Every single dashboard, as I mentioned earlier, is built on the same template. So you will always find the indicator. And then you will have a set of relevant filters to allow you to play with the data as it being seen. And then you also have the possibility to see it as a visualization, a graph, or in a tabular view, depending on your preference. And sometimes the tabular view allow you from a deeper calculation, so it's more detailed in the tabular view. But let's look at our scenario that we were trying to look at private versus public. So here we have a school, we have the school enrollment trend, and this is for, you can see 4 years of data. This is for parochial and public, so this is actually aggregated already. And then we are displaying it for the territory, and we are displaying it for the 2 districts. So we said that we want to go look at the overall data. So let's start by choosing territory to remove from the view the districts. So now we only have the overall. So we can see that we started in 2021. We have our enrollment, and then we're looking at the trend. We end up at 13,546. And then we say that we want to compare private versus public. So let's look at the public schools. Okay. So public schools, we can see that we have the data. Okay. And what we are allowed to do is to select the year of data. So let's say that I want to compare 2 years, the first year and the last year. I want to see a progression. I'm not interested in what happened in between. So here's what I see. We have included in the tooltip a % difference from the previous year. So what does it tell you? That the school year being 23-24, your baseline is 2021. You can see that you have a difference of minus 6.2%. We can do exactly the same for the private and parochial school. Here we can see that there is an increase. And then I want to see if that increase is the same. How does it translate for overall? So again, we have the tooltip that does the calculation for you. We're going back to reset all the years, and then we have our trends. We've included Head Start enrollment. We included English learners enrollment as a subset of the public schools enrollment. And of course, you can go and take a look at it in a tabular form. So this is for public. This is for the territory. And this is for public and private. So the school enrollment, we were able to receive the data for both sectors. Others, we do not have this deaggregation, but you can see that it's still presented. We can reset everything to everything, so you can see it's a lot of data, but the filters allow you to select what you're really interested. If you want 1 year of data, here we go. We have 1 year of data, and this is easy read. So let's say that now that you have we've looked at the enrollment trend. Let's look, for example, as assessment data. So again, we're going to select our assessment data, and we're landing on the assessment data. I'm going to reset it to. So that's a lot of data. That's a lot of data points. And we're looking at 2 kid counts indicators, which are the 8th grade test scores, math test scores, and the 4th grade ELA, English learners test scores. So we've navigated to the assessment section. So as I said, this view has a lot of data, but now I'm going to show you how to look for exactly what you're looking for, which was the number of students who are proficient in both subjects. And I'm not interested to look at it by location, by district. I just want the territory. So this is easier. So now I have a territory. So it's still too many data points. And I only want to see students who are proficient. So I'm going to use the key here to highlight what I want to see. And here we go. We can see here by overing the data, underlying data. So here 7.2%, 4.6%, 2.2%. This is for the math. This is the English. In a tooltip, you always have the indicator reminding you the date, which location you're looking at, whether it's St. Croix, St. Thomas, the district. And then, of course, we have the grade level. It's indicated anyway in the indicator header. And you do have the percentage. If we click on it, then I bring back everything. Again, I can look at that into a tabulation, tabular form. 3 years of data, way too much. I only want 2 years. And actually, I want to compare, as I did prior to the enrollment, I want to compare baseline data with baseline year with. So now I have 2 years of 2 years of data. I can compare advanced, proficient, basic, below basic. Even if I did not see some of the percentage because they're too small on the chart, I can see it easily into the tabular form. So now that we looked at the 8th grade math test scores, there's another data point that might be interesting when you write a grant is to look at your retention. We talked about retention earlier. Here's the retention. So I'm going to reset my years. I'm going to ask everything. And here we go. We have the data for the territory and for the two districts. Let's look at it by territory. So we can see the trend down. What we did here is that on the top of publishing the percentage, the rate, we included the count of student. So 168 student previous year, 146 student that year, current year, same principle, same. We're looking at the count, easily accessible, easily read. You can pick up and have your data right at the tooltip. We did the same with the dropout. Let me go and look at the dropout rate. We did same. We're showing you the dropout rate for 4 grades. Again, we included the rate, but also the count of the student. And of course, we do have graduation rate. Let me go, and I can show it by district. Same, if you want to see baseline data, baseline year to see the progression, you can eliminate the years that are irrelevant for your analysis. So I hope this worked through. Show you how this dashboard can make your work easier and more impactful, whether you're writing grant, conducting research, advocating for children's well-being. Our goal was to create a tool that are both accessible and actionable. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I want to introduce my colleague, Dr. Anna Whitlis-Gabriel, who will discuss our efforts at activating the data in 2024. Anna.
Good morning again, everyone. Thank you so much, Lori. All right. So, as you have probably gathered, activating the data has been kind of an internal rallying cry of sorts for the Kids Count USVI team, moving from data to action, both for ourselves and for our fellow stakeholders. As part of our strategy this year, we engaged in 3 foundational activities. First, hosting our first Kids Count USVI Summit. Second, participating in advocacy and engagement activities. And third, producing these 2 separate data products as we've been discussing today. I'm going to briefly discuss these 3 areas of effort for us. First, I'll share a bit about our first Kids Count Summit, which was held on April 16th and 17th on St. Croix. Entitled Answering the Call, We Are the System and the Solution, the event was held in partnership with the Office of the Governor and convened a curated cohort of stakeholders from the public, private, and civic sectors. The overarching goal of the summit was to create a safe space for stakeholders to cultivate relationships across sectors and in turn co-create new cohesive systems of support for our territory's children. Comprising a diverse group of our community, including elders, policymakers, public sector partners, nonprofits, as well as parents and children, the summit centered around a radical approach to addressing complex challenges called Art of Hosting, which teaches a suite of strategies and competencies that foster civic engagement and collaboration. During this two-day summit, guests were introduced to the concept of the two loops model, which illustrates how all systems are born, peak, and then die, and concurrently, how new systems are born, peak, and die, all following the natural cycle of living things. And I wish that we had more time to talk about that particular element because it was incredibly engaging and hands-on for our participants. I'm hoping that we'll be able to do something like that soon so everyone can experience it. Second, with respect to advocacy and amplifying data, our Kids Count USVI team engaged members of the VI legislature on multiple occasions, providing critical data and policy considerations, including meeting with the Committee on Culture, Youth, Aging, Sports, and Parks in January, testifying to the Committee on Health, Hospitals, and Human Services regarding mental health in June, and testifying to the Committee on Culture, Youth, Aging, Sports, and Parks in August. We also met with Delegate Stacy Plaskett and her team of staffers in February. Among the content of these discussions and presentations, we offered policy ideas and considerations that represent innovations that we could employ to spur progress around child well-being. Informed by data indicating particular areas of challenge and opportunity, recommendations for exploration have included the prioritization of data collection directly from young people themselves, such as via the Youth Risk Behavior Survey. And on that note, I'm pleased to note that funding has been secured by the Department of Health to conduct YRBS for the first time in the territory since 2018. And as you can imagine, a lot has happened since then. So we're really looking forward to getting that data, hopefully for next year's products. Next, we've also discussed expansion of the territory's free university tuition criteria to include expat Virgin Islanders whose children did not graduate from a local public high school, but attended public school in the USVI at any time throughout their academic career. Again, this is not actually happening. I'm just offering some things that we have been ideating around and offering as potential creative ways to continue expanding opportunity for young people in the territory. Another idea that we've discussed has been expansion of academic resources and learning opportunities for parents through strategies such as public Montessori schools, institution of graduated driver's licensure laws, which tie adolescent driver's licenses to high school and secondary educational enrollment, apprenticeship training programming, and gainful employment for teens. And finally, we're suggesting intentional focus on the significant impact of collective trauma on well-being at both the individual and community levels. And last but not least, the reason you're all here today, of course, the release of this year's Kids Count data package, which includes our Spotlight on Opportunity Youth, as well as the Kids Count USVI data dashboard, which Lori just presented. We hope, as in previous years, that this year's data package continues to answer the call to action to build progressive, coherent systems and data-driven solutions for our children and families. I'm going to turn it over to Deanna and Lily to close us out.
So I actually wanted to, I don't know if Saul or Deanna, if you would like, if the team would like, we could take just a minute to actually flip through the data book. And I didn't know if that was something that you all wanted to do, but
Yes, please do that.
yeah.
Absolutely. So, good morning again, everyone. The link to this year's data spotlight was placed in the chat earlier. As we've done in prior years, it is an interactive element. We also will have a printed version for those who would prefer that. But this allows you to zoom in. It does allow you to save as a PDF. I think a couple of people have already commented in the chat about how beautiful our cover is. We love it. It's very colorful and engaging. But as we go through the book, as I mentioned earlier, it is a condensed version of the data book. And so what we have is, as you can see in the table of contents, is at a glance for the various Annie EKC Foundation Kids Count domains. So we have economic well-being, we have family and community, education and health, and of course, community bright spots. The data in action was what Anna just covered. And we also have our big section on opportunity youth. And of course, we introduce the dashboard, our new product this year that Lori just walked us through. And so we want to make sure that as you go through the book, we have information on the dashboard, what we are doing with the dashboard. We have information, the charts, some of which we covered today, and different data points for you to read through. These are the at a glance section, meaning they're condensed version, not the usual expansive data layouts that we've done in the past. But we did have the opportunity youth where we took the time and really used the data that we received from our partners to paint a picture for you of what our opportunity youth are facing, what the youth in the USVI are facing, what are some of their challenges, and our philosophy and approach to it. And we really wanted to make sure that we talked through what the risk factors were, what some of the resources that are available to them. But we really spent some time, as Charmaine said, on the data gaps. So what are the things that we would love to have, that would love to help you as community stakeholders that we did not have? So please pay special attention on the data gaps and what we think are some areas that we can explore together, that we're going to be requesting data from. And if you see an area here in the data gaps that you say, well, we actually collect that information, here's your invitation to join us, share that data with us so that we can share it with the rest of the community. And of course, we talk about activating the data, which Deanna will touch on shortly in the acknowledgement. So it's a shorter version. We feel that you can read through it and digest it. And most of all, we want you to use it as a starting point to activate the data yourself, to be able to join us in sharing the data. We would love it if your data becomes a part of the data dashboard and is easily accessible to all the other agencies. This is a goal of ours. We want to expand it, as Lori said. And so at the heart of this is a call for collaboration with each and every one of you. We want to collaborate with you. We want you to be a part of this data book. We want you to be a part of the data dashboard. And so when we reach out to you, and we will be reaching out to you early next year, we want you to assist us in gathering this data, because it's not something we hold, it's something we then share with the rest of the community and our stakeholders. So that's an overview of the data product, the data spotlight that we had this year as it's available on FlipSnack. The link is in the chat. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us.
So I am watching the time, and I want to be really sensitive to that. It's a busy Wednesday as we prepare for the holidays, but I want to emphasize the fact that the entire Kids Count team is here. We are your line and your hub for data, and we're your partners. So just please remember that. We will be making sure that everyone receives the PowerPoint, the recording of this call, the links for the dashboard and the spotlight in a follow-up email, so you can look forward to that. But Deanna, would you like to close us out today?
Sure. I just want to say thank you for spending this morning with us. I thank my team. They're amazing. What we are able to do with so little is amazing. And I want people to remember that Kids Count is just one facet of what St. Croix Foundation does. We are a very rooted, place-based philanthropic entity, and we're doing a lot of things. And one of the things that we've done internally to build competency around is to recognize that everything is connected to everything. I think for many years, people knew the foundation for a lot of disparate programs and investments that we're making. And what we're trying to do now, and we've been getting more and more skillful around, is really making sure that we're connecting the dots, that the work that we're doing with our nonprofits is connected to our work with Kids Count, is connected to the work we're doing in downtown revitalization, and is deeply connected to the work that we're doing to build a national network of partners that are providing really important insight and information, but also investments into the territory and into our nonprofits. And so I say it all the time that everything is connected to everything is connected to everything. And I hope that as people are sitting here, regardless of where you sit in this work with children and youth, that you recognize that you have an important place in this work, and that your role is deeply connected to everyone else's role. And so one of our partners, he sat with our team and he shared with us this concept that he has, which is called braided alignment. And it was so beautiful, just beautifully worded, that the goal for us as community stakeholders is to make sure that there is braided alignment, that the work that each and every single stakeholder is doing is aligned and coherent and cohesive with all the other work that's being done. And the summit that we held back in April was a very unique kind of convening for us. It wasn't the typical convening where you're sitting down and listening to a facilitator talk for 2 days. It really was interactive. And then the ultimate goal of it, in the beginning, we were concerned that people would think that this was too fluffy, but really the goal is to build relationships with the recognition that when people are in really intimate and genuine relationship with each other, they can actually solve problems pretty easily. And so that is what some of the work that we'll continue to do, is to build those ties that bind, to build a real culture of collaboration with all of our stakeholders, so that all of the sort of siloed investments that people are making, we can start to braid and weave together. And so I'm really, really grateful for the time that you've spent here. I know it's before the holidays. We can almost never get the media out here so to listen to this. But, for all of you all who came and spent time with us today, we recognize that that you have prioritized kids count and prioritized children. And we are really, really grateful for that. And so thank you so much. There's contact information for all of our team. We are very accessible, but we will be shutting down for a couple of weeks to take a deep breath and get recharged for the new year. And so, but someone will be paying attention to emails. So please feel free to reach out to any member of the team if you have any questions or concerns. And thank you so much for joining us once again.